Thanks for
watching.
Hit the
Like button.
and
Subscribe.
just allowing yourself to move into this space. Allowing all of the information to come to you and through you in whatever way it needs to.
The air feels so light.
The air feels light.
I feel a certain kind of spaciousness in the cells.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of oxygen in my body.
Is there something happening when you breathe that's allowing more oxygen in? Or?
It's like there's a lot of space between the cells in my body.
And what's happening within that space?
Vibration. There's the resonance moving between each cell. It's like vibrating between the cells. It's a lack of, not a lack of density, but it's much less dense than what the human body is accustomed to on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's more space. It's almost like there's more information that's being transmitted between the cells.
Sounds quite like a lightness of being, what people describe sometimes. Is there anything else you notice as you're here in this space?
It's a bit like the air is it's thin or light. And when I breathe, it's like I'm absorbing the air through my skin and again my cells. But like the literal air, I can feel it on my skin and going into my skin and moving through my cells. It's like this symbiotic relationship with the air itself. I can feel the ways that it's nourishing me.
Mm-hmm. So you feel very, very connected to the air.
I mean, I feel connected to all things, really, but it's particularly picking up on the air in this moment. But it's a full presence of what is happening all around and within me, as opposed to taking for granted the air that I breathe or that surrounds me. I recognize myself as being in relationship with it.
Mm-hmm. So let's have a look at your physical form and see how you breathe. See what apparatus you have for breathing. Do you have a nose and mouth? So let's start with your feet. Look down towards your feet and tell me what your feet look like.
I'm a frog.
Your frog, okay. And what color is your skin?
It's quite a nice green.
Mm-hmm. And as we move up your body, are you wearing anything on your body? Do you have any kind of costume or outfit? Or do you have any jewelry or adornment?
I don't feel that, but it feels like I'm not necessarily completely naked.
Okay.
It doesn't feel important to me in this moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What feels really important to me is the way that I'm able to breathe through my mouth, but through my skin as well. That feels alive.
And so you do that simultaneously? You're both breathing through your mouth. Is it your mouth or your nose or your...
Both, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about your breath, your breathing, anything else that wants to come through here about this?
Yeah, the breathing. Not only is it sending oxygen to my cells, but it's like it's activating them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this, I don't know if you would call it an electrical current almost, but I'm receiving information from the ethers as I'm breathing as well.
And what is the information that you're receiving in this moment?
Something, I was feeling it around my head, and it was going in particular to certain activation points, even though my whole body is working together in a synergistic way. There were certain points in my brain that we might consider like a pineal gland almost.
Mm-hmm.
receive these signals about the environment. And I can go farther out if I choose. I'm able to pick up on and sense what's going on throughout this place that I'm in. And it can extend as far as the other side of the planet itself.
Mm-hmm. And what do you do with this information? How do you use this information?
I take it into the body.
Mm-hmm.
And as I take it into my body, I move it through my cells, through my cellular structure, and I'm reorganizing it. Like it's almost like I'm digesting it and this is hard to explain.
Okay, take your time.
Like a combination of like a mathematical sequence and harmonics and vibration. It's like this. I can take it into my body and it's almost like reprogramming. Like I'm programming it to a frequency that is that's essentially closer to source.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to like pick up on these subtle distortions. Frequencies that move a bit farther away from the source. And so I take it into my body and it literally moves through like all the mechanisms inside of me, and I'm consciously like I know exactly what it is that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, even if it was something I don't necessarily consider it outside of myself per se, but if I was like taking it in as if I was taking in oxygen or particles from the air, that's a bit what it's like. But I just recognize it as an aspect of consciousness.
And then what happens?
It's going to come, doesn't exactly come out. It is emitted, though, through my frequency. I'm trying to see what happens here. So yeah, it's my frequency. And in this place, my frequency is like tangible.
Okay.
So by contrast, on Earth, the frequency that we're constantly emitting, we're not generally consciously aware, and we don't recognize the physicality, like the actual tangible, I mean, physicality, hold that lightly, but that like there's literally like an essence to it. And here there's much more awareness of the frequencies that are in constant motion and that are flowing from our beingness. So the frequencies that come in that are reorganized and reprogrammed inside are then emitted through my frequency as I interact with all things.
Beautiful. And so, whilst you're emitting that frequency, has the distortion already been extracted, or does it come out through your frequency that you're emitting?
It's already been changed inside of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gone through a process of transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no longer any distortion at that point. And sometimes these distortions are coming from the ethers themselves, from like the ethers of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not from our own planet directly. In fact, that's often the case. In fact, perhaps even more so, that there's all sorts of things going on in other planetary systems and galaxies. And sometimes those frequencies it's not exactly coming in like raining in. It's more in the consciousness ethers themselves, but it can create issues in the consciousness of the beings on our planetary systems, including the plants as well, and the planet itself, if it is not addressed and we're not made aware. So there is an alertness, but a gentle one.
So this process that you go through when you breathe in these energies and transmute them within your body and then emit them, is that a conscious thing that you do, or is that just like we would be breathing normally in and out, and we're fairly unconscious about it? Are you consciously doing that, or is that just a natural state for you?
So
Okay.
it's something that we don't have to, there's no effort that we need to do. And it's not difficult, not something we have to be constantly vigilant in a like tense way. It's something that we naturally do, but we're also conscious of every single part of the process as it's happening as well.
Okay. Is there any more information that wants to come through here about this?
Not in this exact moment, but Stephanie needs to go to the bathroom.
Sure. So just allow Stephanie to come up. We'll be right here. Just to say thank you to anyone who's joining us live. If anybody doesn't know what we're doing a live quantum healing hypnosis session with myself and Stephanie. So we are exploring a few topics and bringing through some information for the collective. So thank you for joining us today. It's quite hard to interact with people as we're doing this. So just to say thank you very much for joining, or if you're watching the replay, thank you for being here, and we hope that you receive whatever it is that you need to receive today from this transmission. So thank you for being here. Beautiful. So just taking a deep breath, allowing yourself to reconnect with this space, with this aspect. Just reconnecting and knowing that with each breath, you're reconnecting deeper and deeper than you were before. So we're just moving to another scene within this same life, the same experience that has information for us today that is both helpful and healing. Just allowing this information to come through you and to you in whatever form and whatever way it needs to. Just breathing into this space. You're there. And tell me what's happening.
Meditating in a group.
Say that again, sorry.
I'm meditating in a group, and we're sitting in a circle. We are levitating as we meditate.
Mm-hmm. And how many people or beings are within this group? Mm-hmm. And are you all these amphibian frog type beings? Mm-hmm. And where is the location that this is happening? Where are you doing that?
Structure that looks a bit also seems to be like up off of the ground as well. And there's it looks a bit geodesic, like there's these triangles around us.
Are they made of a specific substance, or are they? Can you describe that?
It's a bit like we've created this sort of bubble. There's something more to this. Just a moment. It's actually more like a filtering. We're wanting to like filter the energies a little bit, because there's something that we're doing here together. There's a specific purpose for us coming together like this.
And what is that specific purpose that you're here doing this for? What is it that you're doing?
We've noticed a very strong disturbance in the energy field. And it's really intense on our bodies.
Okay.
As we take in, because of how much we take into ourselves. The disturbance field in the best way I can describe it is like the realms of consciousness. It's very, very intense on our bodies, very heavy, very destructive, and it's like this is so big that we needed to come together and we needed to create this sort of filtration.
Okay. And you say there's 5 of you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We are creating the structure with our consciousness. And it's essentially serving as a sort of barrier, but we prefer the word filtration. So that we can continue to do what we're called here to do together.
And what is the source of this disturbance? Where does it come from, and what is it?
And that's exactly what we're wanting to spend more time with.
Okay.
So we're reading this disturbance's energy field.
Is it a disturbance from within your planet, or does it come externally?
No, this is not our planet whatsoever. This is, but it's tricky because we don't completely separate consciousness as a whole from specific consciousness, but we do recognize the difference as well. It is something not specifically derived from here, but that we don't consider ourselves outside of it entirely. So it is something that has occurred. Just a moment.
Take your time.
We're realizing the extent of the damage to this aspect of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say damage, we mean the or reading the distortion field. Hmm.
And so how, I'm curious as to how, is this something that happens often? Is this something that you gather to do often, or do you gather to do this for particularly challenging distortions?
This is something we have not seen before.
Okay.
But we are recognizing that it is impacting vast realms of time and space and dimensions. This somehow it happened we could look at it from one aspect and see that it happened over a long span of time. And then when we look at it in this perspective, it's something that happened very, very quickly and very instantaneously. What we might call a quantum leap. So a quantum leap of distortion consciousness.
Okay.
From an Earth perspective, it's something that would have happened over a very long period of time that's then snowballed into this thing here. But from our perspective now, this is not how we see it.
And you said that this affects other realms and other dimension densities. Is this energy of affecting Earth as well?
Absolutely.
Is it affecting Earth in our present moment?
Earth is attempting to heal and repair from this. Oh. There's a particular within this particular part of the solar system, there's a particularly strong level of distortion.
Okay.
Higher energetic field. It's not just Earth specifically,
Okay.
but there is a concentration of energy in this particular node. It, because of the way that what some people call the energetic highway that exists within Earth's solar system. Through that energetic highway, there's more opportunity for this distortion to be sent across different dimensions and densities.
Is this distorted energy that you are working with right now connected to the distorted combative energy that Stephanie and I were discussing before we started this session?
This distortion field, it will fight. It will fight to maintain its place. And the consciousness within the people themselves will also fight to maintain this distortion. It is attached to the consciousness of the people, but they're not powerless to it. They continue to recreate it, like they're maintaining the machine. They're maintaining the system that they feel is keeping them alive.
Mm.
They've attached themselves to it as if this is the greater truth, the truth of source. There's confusion, there's distortion.
And so this is playing out across multiple densities and multiple planets.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And why is it important for this information to come through today?
Because Earth and the people here and the beings who have come here, they are holding a very specific role in this breaking up of the distortion field.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a potential recognized by many, including us here, who recognize the potential for Earth through the shifting of the Earth's consciousness and the beings on her to create a quantum leap across the multiverses and essentially create harmonization within the consciousness field once again.
What can we hear on Earth, those that are tuning into this transmission, or who watch this transmission at a future time period? What can we do to assist this current situation, this distortion in consciousness?
Be willing to look at the self.
Mm-hmm.
This is of paramount importance. Be willing to look at yourself. Be willing to be with yourself. Become aware of what's happening inside of you. Aware of the skin, of how your skin feels when the air touches it. Be aware of what you're taking into your body, both on a physical level, but also just become aware of the subtleties of what you're taking in. And what it feels like inside of you. It's literally about raising awareness within the self.
And what effect does that have when we raise awareness within ourselves?
We begin to see where we're being dishonest with the self, wanting to see ourselves in certain ways that are not the highest truth. That could be things that we don't want to look at that might be perceived as negative about the self, but that can also be things that are positive about the self. This is creating greater levels of fragmentation from the truth of who we really are. It keeps us feeling separate from other people, to be in disillusion about ourselves, to become aware of how we interact with all things. We will begin to see healing on this.
Before we started the session, Stephanie voiced want to connect with this aspect of herself, this frog being. Is there anything that this aspect of Stephanie wishes to bring forward for her and for the collective right now?
this, well, the frog, as I'm called, I to help people remember the exact frequency of when they were called to Earth.
And what can you share with us about that frequency and about that call?
Take a moment. Close your eyes. And to feel direct into the heart. The heart is moving up the rest of your body, up the top of your body, moving up through the throat, up through the pineal, up through the crown. Just feel the vibration in your body. There's a specific vibration. A specific cluster of codes and frequency, and perhaps the way that you most identify this calling is through the sound. Through the tone, that scent.
And why is it important for us to remember this tone, this frequency? What information does that carry for us?
It contains so much information. You can see it like a stone, almost like a diamond, but like a raw, unpolished stone. And the tone, the tone is within the cells of your being.
Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you, Stephanie, my love. Can you just try and speak up a little bit or get your microphone a little bit closer?
Can you tell me if this is any better?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Sorry, you were speaking about the tone.
The tone is within the cells of the being, of your being, with every person's being who felt the call to be here.
Is there any more information that wants to come through about that?
Just a moment.
No problem, take your time.
Listen. Listen for the tones that do something inside of your body, that wakes something up inside of you. These codes, these tones that activate you. They're doing exactly that. They're activating the memory inside of you of what it is that you're doing here, what it is that you came here to do. The tone could be in the sound of a dog barking. The tone could be in the sound of the person next to you humming. Listen for the sounds that do something very special inside of you. And take this moment to decide that you are going to be open enough to receive them. Sound is one of the greatest tools that we have here on this planet, as it is a very tangible way of feeling the harmonics, the true harmonics of the universe. Whereas in this frog body, I am able to feel the tones and the sounds on a vibrational level. For Earth, the sounds are that tangible way to receive the vibrations. But you can begin to activate this more inside of your body with all the different tones that you hear, especially the ones that you feel a deep connection to. And this does not have to make sense to you just yet. Just say within yourself that you're willing. You're willing to receive and to become aware.
Beautiful, thank you. So as we are communicating with you this aspect of Stephanie, who is this frog being, I wonder if there's any, if there is a name or something we can refer to you as, aside from frog being, because I mean, and we know you're all about tone and frequency and sound and vibration, and it feels a little bit redundant to be calling you frog being. Is there anything that you would like us to call you?
Well, I'll start by saying that I quite like being called frog being because of Stephanie's deep love for frogs. So I'm not offended by this. My particular name is more of a frequency that is not quite translatable.
Okay.
I don't feel a particular need for a name.
Okay. I just wanted to check. Is there anything else that you are wanting to share with Stephanie specifically today about her connection with you and your journey together, and her you working through Stephanie within her lifetime here on Earth?
We want her to study harmonics as she is doing, but we want her to study the picture of the true harmonics, or what is called the 12-base math, 12-base mathematics. The Palladians have recently given this picture, this image, and it is important for Stephanie to continue to focus on this because it's activating her memory of her knowledge of harmonics that exist within our consciousness. And we will continue to send many messages and many more pieces of information about this. She's invited to connect with our consciousness directly. She doesn't always know specifically that it's us sending this information, and that's okay, but it will enhance and amplify her ability to receive the knowledge that she is meant to be seeking by connecting with us directly.
Is there anything else that she is ready to be made aware of or ready to have activated within her system that pertains to yourself, this aspect of her?
We're putting in a particular package of information in one symbol this one symbol contains a great deal of information, and we are placing it directly into her pineal gland, her third eye center at this time.
Okay.
It's doing quite a lot for her in her body and in her energetic field, so she's receiving that now. And she can access more of this information by doing some toning specifically with the intention to activate her awareness of this package of information. So toning will be very helpful.
Okay.
We just told Stephanie something that is making her laugh.
Are you able to share?
We have quite thin lips as frog beings. We don't necessarily communicate very much verbally, much more so telepathically. And Stephanie has given herself a hard time about her thin lips in this life, and she laughs because we're telling her it's because of us. Because it is to remind her of her very deep connection with this frog lifetime, because she was going to be possessing a great deal of information from this particular life, this particular aspect of the self. So it was a reminder to her. And so we're sort of using each other back and forth.
Before we move on, Stephanie did ask something about, and I know you mentioned it before when you suggested studying the 12 harmonics, the 12 base mathematics, the harmonics. That she says she's been guided intuitively to learn with guides not on Earth about harmonic resonance. And is there anything that would like to come through around this? So I'm just double checking if there's any more information surrounding that needs to be expressed or shared today.
Stephanie's ability to receive information is quite clear and open. Mm-hmm. And as a result, it is actually a more clear channel for her to receive information in this way, as opposed to the level of distortion that's happened especially because mathematics and science and history is a big mess. She absolutely is able to feel what's true and what isn't, and she's been practicing this muscle and can continue to do so. She knows exactly when to receive information in the physical, as she did through the information from the Pleiadians. This was something that was received and given to someone else who then shared that information. This is the perfect way to receive things in the physical and to then do her work with us and with other guides. more etherically. There's one more piece here. She's something she needs to adjust to a little bit.
Okay.
She does need to practice meditation more often.
Okay.
This will be a particularly profound way for her to receive the information. She must do this more. Okay.
Was there anything else that you wanted to bring through for Stephanie today?
That is all for now.
I wonder if it would be appropriate for me to ask a question that's along the same vein, about Stephanie and I's connection to this lifetime. This is the second time that we've come into this particular experience when working together like this. And I myself had a session where I had a similar amphibian frog type lifetime and the same planet or a similar planet. And I'm just wondering what our connection was within that lifetime, if any, and what it is that is, is it part of our mission together here on Earth to bring this information through right now? I'm just wondering if there's any connection there and what that might be.
You are on the same planet.
Mm-hmm.
You live quite far away.
Okay.
You spend most of your time there. And this place that it's about almost opposite of where I am on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I see you we see each other sometimes. It feels like when we come together, it's a combination of camaraderie and that we exchange we're exchanging information through our frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
And we came together and we did speak about the distortion fields. There's a difference in the reason we look different is because the way that we receive information is different. And when I say receive information, it's it's this combination of energetic and biological, as I was speaking about before, the way that the frequencies come in through our body and through our skin. You're doing this in a different way than what I do. And that's actually contributes to the difference in our physical appearance. But the two of us together, when we work together, we create this beautiful it's part of the symbiosis of life. It's hard for me to describe this. It's part of the way that we maintain a sense of equilibrium and harmony within this universe. We feel very balanced. It's a very beautiful friendship.
Mm.
And it also contributes greatly to the maintenance of equilibrium. It's a very valuable connection.
Had we agreed to work together in this specific lifetime?
Yes. Absolutely, yes. This was part of what we would discuss together, because there was already an awareness of, there were discussions about what it would look like to come to Earth. And of course, these discussions happened over many different dimensions, we could say, but this was part of it. There was a recognition that we would do similar work, but in our own ways. And that by us working together, it will create this greater level of synergy that we are desiring to help create on this planet.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And with that, we would like to speak to what is being said about doing hypnosis over
the internet. Mm-hmm.
The internet has many benefits and many downfalls, as we can all recognize as the beings here, both in this realm of what we might consider the Orion gateway, but we also see this situation to be very beneficial to do hypnosis in this way. It is wonderful when it can be done in person. This is something we celebrate as well. But the ability to connect with other beings from all over the planet that are meant to be connected, but sometimes it is not always to be in the physical.
Mm-hmm.
Such as in the case of Nina and Stephanie in this moment right now. And many, many other circumstances just like this, where it is the most beneficial and the most aligned thing energetically to do these sessions over the internet. This is not something to be discouraged. This is not something to be deterred by. And the one speaking on this we ask that you tread carefully. Tread carefully on the good work that people are doing. The ones who are meant to be connected. The ones who aren't necessarily in a position to travel. Doing sessions in this way is deeply healing, because these practitioners who do this work, they are so connected to the energetic field that they are transmitting this frequency through the airwaves, and they are actually healing the airwaves, the internet pathways. They are literally healing the frequency of the internet itself, as well as the person who is receiving on the other side. They are bridging the space between what was normally considered great distances is being shortened. This is what we do on our planet. As these frog beings, there is no sense of great distance from one another, even though my friend, who is now Nina, who lives a great distance away, we might say, in Earth terms, it does not feel that way to us. We can travel to one another very easily and very quickly, both in our minds and in what we call physicality, what you call physicality. It's easy. The internet is serving that purpose for the Earth beings who are not able to easily communicate telepathically and physically. And yet, the ones who are guiding these sessions have this ability to transmit the frequencies anyway. There is much healing being done, and this is not to be discouraged. Using the internet for these sessions is not to be discouraged, and we are quite serious about this.
Thank you. That means a lot to hear that, because as a practitioner of this work, sometimes we come up against opposing opinions regarding the work we do. And when we do this work, it feels as though we are helping people access information and their own ability to heal themselves in a way that is not readily available for everyone. So being able to offer these sessions online feels like a great honor. And so thank you for speaking on that.
There's one more piece we'd like to say here.
Mm-hmm.
That there are beings who are contracted. I mean, this is really just in addition to what we've already said. But there are beings who are contracted before coming here to work with other people, to work with certain practitioners specifically,
Mm-hmm.
who might live like great distances from them. This again bridges without the need to have to travel until the time is right for that to happen, because there will be times that it might be just right to travel and to be in person.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a bridge.
From your position as these beings within the Orion, would you say there's any danger about doing this work online?
Technology can be tricky in terms of, well, we all know that internet can be difficult at times, and sound can be an issue, and there's different ways to resolve those things. But from our perspective, that is probably the greatest level of difficulties. But the practitioners themselves, they absolutely are responsible for setting the tone, and I quite literally mean the tone, the frequency of what is being transmitted on either end, and being able to hold that great level of awareness of what is coming in and what is going out, because there are always negative beings who want to take part in things, whether it's in person or whether it's over the internet. These practitioners have every ability to keep these channels clear.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I'd like to call in Stephanie's higher self at this point. So I'd just like you to allow yourself to begin to gently rise up from this space, sending so much love and gratitude to this aspect of yourself who came to speak with us today. I'd like you to rise yourself up and away from this place and allow yourself to drift higher and higher to connect with your higher self. Your higher self is merging with you stronger than ever before. Your higher self is merging with you so that we can receive the healing and the information that is most beneficial for us today. May I please speak with Stephanie's higher self? Thank you for being with us and for working with us today. What does Stephanie need to know or understand most at this current time?
Harmonics.
Say that again, sorry.
Harmonics.
Harmonics.
She's aware of this, and this is why she's putting focus there.
Beautiful. Would it be appropriate for me to ask some questions right now?
Yes.
Stephanie reports that she is experiencing a lot of memory activated around Lemuria right now. And she wonders what would like to come through surrounding that at the moment, and perhaps around the fall of Lemuria.
There's something quite important about the activation of memory of Lemuria for many, many people on this planet at this particular time.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most significant reasons for this is not only the clearing out of the remaining trauma around the fall of Lemuria specifically, and the necessitation of having to leave the planet, which we will address, but it's also the memory of the level of synergy, the level of harmony that was experienced here during that time. That Lemuria was a sort of blueprint for what Earth could become. Lemuria was not necessarily the entire planet. Of course, the planet itself was in a very high vibration, as was Lemuria. But it was still not fully complete. And Lemuria is quite literally the blueprint for what could be for the entire Earth. And this hasn't quite been fully achieved yet. But it is something that many people would like. This is a desire that many are holding, and with greater levels of memory of Lemuria, it's very possible that we could go to the tipping point where this desire becomes big enough that it is achieved.
Are there any suggestions that you can give for us on the planet right now to tap into these memories and utilize those memories to help bring that timeline into fruition?
Singing,
Mm-hmm.
especially with other people. It's not necessarily that for every person who's singing is going to experience a direct activation of memory of Lemuria, but deep within the cells of each person, that memory is there. It doesn't matter if it's directly conscious about Lemuria yet, but it will begin to open that doorway into deeper and greater levels of memory, as it has for Stephanie as well. So it's singing specifically in groups with others. And when we say singing, we don't mean structured singing. We mean it could be toning. It could be what people call light language or ancient language. It could be just letting the voices rise up together. And you can start by making any sounds you want and just let it naturally evolve into sounds that feel more beautiful, and literally feeling the sound inside of your body, feeling how good it feels to make certain sounds and to do more of them. And do this as often as you can, whether it's by yourself or with other people, but especially making an effort to come together with others.
Beautiful, thank you. The next question we have is about a topic that's slightly more mainstream than we would usually cover. However, Stephanie and I realized that we felt very similar about this topic and felt that it was worth tapping into because the information is a direct reflection of the information that we are dealing with individually and collectively. So I wanted to ask what the higher self's perspective on the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial is. What is this truly teaching us? What is it doing for us? We very much feel like there's more to this than it just being celebrity pop culture fodder. We've got a very strong feeling that there may be something much deeper being presented to us. And I wonder if the higher self wished to comment upon that just now.
It is a deep healing for the feminine consciousness as well as the masculine. We don't neglect either one here. The deep trauma within both the feminine and the masculine consciousness is on full display in this particular situation. This is a very multi-layered healing that is going on. One aspect is the aspect I just mentioned of the masculine and feminine consciousness, but there's another one, and it is that of the celebrity experience itself. The celebrity experience has been massively manipulated, and these beings have often been quite tormented. And many of them are suffering greatly. And by all means, they have choices within everything they do. We want to acknowledge this directly, but they are feeling quite out of control of their circumstances, no matter what persona they display. And this situation is a perfect demonstration of how wildly out of control their psychological well-being truly is. Whether people want to directly point the finger at Amber Heard as being a terrible, evil being, and Johnny Depp as being mostly innocent, or perhaps it's the other way around, depending on who's looking at the situation. But it cannot be negated that both beings have great, great trauma and great responsibility in what has occurred. These two beings are a representation of what chaos has occurred between male and female dynamics of relating. It is an exaggerated example. But people are looking to this situation because there's an element within them that is identifying the truth of the very unhealthy dynamics within many relationships on this planet. There's a desire here. The people tuning in, the people who are following this, there's a desire to heal the trauma within relationships, within the ways that we relate to one another, especially romantically. There's something here around the feminine psyche. The feminine psyche she has a particular responsibility because of her specific nature of being able to go to great depths. And when we say great depths, we mean the ability to traverse different levels of consciousness, both going up towards the ethers, going down, down, down into the depths of the darker realms of consciousness. She has a great responsibility to be connected to higher source truth. To remember who she is. So even if it is a very deeply unconscious thing that is occurring where we're observing this situation, there's a part of the human collective consciousness that is aware that we have some healing to do within the feminine psyche to use our power wisely and not to dominate and control the masculine who is holding the container. It is equally important for the masculine energy to know how to properly hold the container so that the feminine can do what it is that she does so beautifully and so powerfully. Without this balance, the power dynamics are thrown completely out of whack, where the feminine attempts to control the masculine, and then of course vice versa will happen as well, and then we enter into a great power struggle. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are quite literally a true representation, an exaggerated representation right in front of our eyes of what can happen when the masculine and feminine energies are thrown out of balance and descend into total chaos. Amplified by their celebrity.
It feels very much like the whole concept of celebrity is being dismantled at this time.
Yes, that is correct.
The
The Will,
condition, yeah.
apologies, the Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith is another example of this. The celebrity structure is no longer holding together. The Britney Spears situation, another example. It is beginning to crumble, and there's no longer the same level of manipulation happening within the background that is maintaining the structure the way that it was, maintaining the illusion the way that it was. And so now everyone is getting to see what's really been happening underneath.
Mm-hmm. And what is the future of this? Is there anything that you can tell us about what we may experience within the next year or so around this?
Well, at this particular time, there's greater levels of destruction that will go on. This is really the beginning of the dismantling.
And will this dismantling continue on all levels? Will we see this through the other parts of human life that are so readily conditioned onto us at a young age? This is what we are to be. This is what we are to look up to. This is what we are to aspire to be.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's already happening all over the place. And in some senses, we're seeing it happen on smaller levels and then certain big events as well. But it's creating this kind of rapid fire effect that is just going to eventually just open much bigger. But all of this depends greatly on our own consciousness as well, what it is that we're desiring to have happen, because there is absolutely, as it has been said many times, there's a battle going on. It is a very big and tenuous battle between the ones who do not wish to let go of control and the ones who are saying we are going to move forward with the life and the world that we desire anyway, and we are going to create it from within. And we just continue on. And that's the greatest message that I have here around all of the different things that will take place on the planet. It will be challenging, and we can continue to become deeply self-aware and find out what it is that we desire to do truly, not what we think or have been conditioned to think we need to do. And that's how we will create the world that is much more peaceful, much more enjoyable and joyful.
Mm-hmm. This feels like a good time to maybe draw this to a close. Is there any more messages for Stephanie or for the collective today that wish to come through?
this is a very powerful energetic portal that we are within, meaning that we have again another choice point, meaning that we have many different roads that we can go down, and they will lead us to either more pleasant experiences of life or more challenging ones. And you are invited, we are all invited to choose and to make decisions based on what feels so good and so alive for us. We get to feel good. So when you're faced with many, many decisions and don't know which road to go down, take a moment to feel inside of your body and to feel out of all those different options, which one sparks something inside of you. We could almost think of like a turn on, like a literal arousal. What feels good?
Beautiful. So are we complete for today?
Yes, we are complete.
Beautiful. So I'm going to end this transmission just now. I want to thank everybody who has tuned in or who will tune in. And I want to thank the higher self, Stephanie, and everybody else who was involved in this session today. We will be doing more of this. So come and join us, and we will speak to you again very, very soon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to close off the session. Oh, in just a moment, actually. I'll just come back a little.
Do you want me to bring you up as in count you up, or do you want me to? You're all good. Okay. You've done this a few times, so you're you're all right with this.
Oh, goodness. That was lovely. Lots of beautiful things that wanted to come through that. I loved feeling the air on my skin and going into my body and into my cells. Oh my God.
That sounded so beautiful. That sounded amazing. You know, it's so funny. I was thinking about all of those things today as well. So it was like, I listened to Candace last night and she was talking about feeling the wind on her face, and then when I was outside I was just thinking about how healing it is to just feel that the elements around us and how important it is to do that. So.
Oh my God, I love that you were tapping into that. That's amazing. Yeah. I literally was like feeling the cells inside of my body, like I was seeing them inside of my body, and like it felt like they were really stretched out, like far apart. That's why I was saying like the spaciousness, you know, it just felt like there was so much more like energy or information that could go from each cell compared to like, and it almost seemed counterintuitive because I'm like, if it's dense, it's like, wouldn't there be more information that could communicate? But then I was like, wait a second, you know, like with all of that spaciousness, think of like when it's so close together, there's like not very much room, you know, for information to go. But like with the spaciousness, I had never like, that was amazing to see and feel it on that level of like tangibility.
It's so beautiful that those moments where we tap into these things, it's like completely blows our mind and shifts our perspective on what we are and our bodies and everything when we get to tap into these these parts of ourselves, essentially.
Yeah. And it's like there's so much that I can't really put into words. Like it would have been, I was doing my best to put it into words, but like to try to put into words the level of like a vibration that I was feeling in between all of my cells in my body, and like the way I was taking in the etheric energy and then like transmuting it and working with it inside of the body. Like that's so hard to, there's so much more happening than what I can really say.
Totally. That happens often. It's like the English language is like way too limited for what we experience in these sessions. It's like, yeah, it's like almost like we're doing what we're experiencing a disservice by trying to describe it.
I know, but it's like we do our best. We do our best. And then of course, I felt it when I watch other people's sessions, but like you can feel the energy from it a lot of the times. That's what I think, or that's what I experienced too.
Yeah. Well, you did really well, and you described it all really well. And
thank you, and thank you for guiding so beautifully. You're such an amazing guide.
oh, thank you.
And I don't think you're not on Instagram, are you?
I am on Instagram.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm there. I don't really know what my name is. It's just my name, Nina Morocco.
Okay, so I will tag you in my my live here. Beautiful people. Nina is amazing. She and I both guide these quantum sessions. Oh, and thank you so much for being here. I'm seeing your beautiful messages, and now I'll take a moment to read them.
Beautiful. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And yeah, we hope this brought you some insights and some information that's important right now.
Yeah, I hope so too. We'll be doing more of this. Next, I'll be guiding Nina in a session in probably 2 or 3 weeks or so, but because I'm going to Hawaii and we've got lots going on. But yeah, we will do this again, and sending so much love. Mwah. Signing off now.